Right now at 5, MSSU Student Life Center temporarily closes after a car crashes into it.
We've got a quieter start for our Thursday around the 4 states, and we'll have a quieter day for the most part, but more pop-up storms are on the way. We'll talk about that in the forecast coming up.
Also, the Oklahoma Supreme Court strikes down 2 abortion laws as unconstitutional.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Carrie Worthen.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a little bit quieter this morning than it was yesterday. I know we need the rain. I want folks at home to know I know we need the rain, but I'm just noting that it is quieter this morning. And believe it or not, our pop-up storm chances today and even into tomorrow are a lot more isolated than what we've seen the last couple of days, but they're still there. But they're also going to be a little bit later today. So let's take a look at the future track and see exactly what we're expecting as we head into the afternoon hours. We could see a few of these showers possible as we head into the afternoon and late or early evening hours, but the better chances are looking to be a little bit later this evening. Now, on this particular future track, it's not necessarily reflecting that. There's, of course, with pop-up storms, it's difficult for the computers to keep up with exactly when and where, but there's a little more agreement that there's going to be a few more of them as we head later into this evening across the area, and then we'll have some chances as we head into our Friday, but we've got better storm chances by our Saturday. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line looking off to the west. We're looking good so far. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. Our camera 7th in range line. We've got mostly clear skies out there, 69 in Joplin, so quite mild, and we are getting a southeast breeze at about 6 miles an hour. Around the region, we've got 67 Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, 66 Iola, 66 Chatopa, 65 Miami, and 66 in Neosho. So we get our day started. We're looking at sunny skies, and because of that, we're going to warm up a little faster. We're going to be into the low 80s by late morning, and of course that'll push our afternoon highs a little warmer too into the upper 80s across the area. We'll see a few extra clouds out there with those partly cloudy skies into the afternoon. Again, a couple of pop-up storms possible, but at least right now the thinking is better opportunities for at least a couple more pop-up storms will happen later this evening across the area. Will otherwise again be partly cloudy and back down into the mid to upper 60s tonight. We're going to continue to warm as we head toward the weekend, and this 90 may come pretty early for us on Saturday, and then thunderstorms are expected. And we're looking at maybe a few more of them on Saturday, and that'll knock temperatures down a little bit for the afternoon hours. Pop-up storm chances continue with us all the way through Tuesday. Temperatures, though, remaining mid to upper 80s. Overnight lows, for the most part, in the low to mid 60s. You can see an upper 50-degree reading here. As we head into next week, maintaining some 80-degree readings. Overnight lows staying in the 60s, and we see some additional pop-up storm chances by next Saturday. Carrie?
Thanks, Chris. MSSU's Mays Student Life Center building temporarily closes after an SUV crashes into it. The crash happened just before 11 a.m. Wednesday when a motorcycle and SUV collided at Newman Road and Duquesne Road. After the crash, the SUV then continued and crashed into the Mays Student Life Center at MSSU. Both the motorcyclist and SUV driver were taken to the hospital. Authorities say they were both able to communicate when taken off scene. No word yet on the severity of injuries. Authorities recovered the body of a Cassville, Missouri physician who'd been missing for more than a week. The kayaker found the body in the northwest Arkansas Beaver Lake. Dr. John Forsyth disappeared on May 21st after his ER shift at Mercy Hospital in Cassville. The Bentonville County, Arkansas Sheriff's Office says Forsyth apparently died from a gunshot wound. Witnesses say the weekend was busy at the lake and a body was found yesterday in a popular swimming cove, leaving more question than answers. Sometime Tuesday night, while you might have been enjoying the night sky, you might have seen something shiny, maybe something UFO-like. Rest assured, aliens are not invading our planet, but it did come from outer space. SpaceX Dragon spacecraft and AX-2 crew undocked from the National Space Station Tuesday night and re-entered the Earth's atmosphere after 10 days in orbit. It landed off the coast of Florida around 10:04. As reference for how fast it moved, our own Jalen Banks saw the spacecraft from Cherokee County, Kansas just before 10 p.m. and one local made a wish.
I thought it was a shooting star. And my friend, he was talking, and I was like, look, because I was taking this picture for someone to send it, and I looked in the sky. He was steady looking at my phone, like, man, this right here ain't right, you know. Hey, I wonder where it's gonna land. So, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking it's a shooting star. I recorded it too off my phone, so I was on Snapchat and I still got it like, it ain't that clear, so I was zooming in, so it's blurry, but I got it.
That wasn't the only mission SpaceX launched recently. The company also launched 52 Starlink satellites Wednesday morning. The Oklahoma Supreme Court rules 2 laws further limiting abortions in the state are unconstitutional. One of those laws prohibits abortions after a heartbeat is detected, and the other bans abortions in most cases. The court found those laws conflict with previous decisions, one of which found a pregnant woman has an inherent right to end a pregnancy when her life is in danger. Governor Kevin Stitt says he, quote, wholeheartedly disagrees with the Oklahoma Supreme Court's use of activism to create right to an abortion in Oklahoma. An elderly Oklahoma man is recovering from being attacked by hundreds of bees. But not only that, he broke his hip trying to get away from the aggressive swarm. Sarah Smith reports.
A normal Friday morning for 81-year-old Carl Amos, mowing his front yard, then a swarm of bees.
He got off the lawnmower and he started toward our front porch. He thought there was a can of off there, so it was only a few bees, and he thought, well, that would take care of them.
Carl then falling and breaking his hip, his wife Barbara says.
Then he really was in trouble because then more bees were coming and stinging, and he couldn't see and he couldn't really move because of his broken hip.
Barbara says an employee from a business behind their home spots Carl 3 hours later. She was returning from out of town when paramedics got there.
They really saved his life, and we're so eternally grateful for them.
Beekeepers removing the hive on Tuesday.
We heard about these bees and how aggressive they were and how they stung this old man 100 times, and he ended up in the hospital. We thought, well, maybe these are bees that we don't want to keep, that we need to eliminate those kind of bees.
He's really a tough guy. I really have never met him yet because he's in the hospital, but he'd have to be really tough to withstand that many stings.
Barbara says they're expecting to leave the hospital Wednesday and spend a few weeks in rehab because of Carl's broken hip.
I guess if you say a person has grit, he has grit. Once he determines to do something, he does it, and he has extreme faith in God, of course.
The bees were presumed to be Africanized killer bees. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. In sports, we'll have which softball coach was named Coach of the Year. Plus, a historic house goes on the market for the first time in 100 years. This makes us want to know, do you own your own house or rent it? And how teen birth rates fell to a historic low in 2020. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, the Webb City Cardinals are still alive for a baseball state championship. The Cardinals face St. Francis Borgia on Friday afternoon in the Missouri Class 5 state semifinals. For the Cardinals, this is their first appearance in the Final Four since 2010. They head into the weekend with a 22-13 overall record. On the other side, St. Francis Borgia is 24-5, and they're on a roll right now, winning 10 straight to get to the semifinals. So Webb City knows they're in for another tough one Friday afternoon.
I know Borgia's got a really good pitcher. Their number one's a good guy. Got high velocity, spins it pretty well, and he's also their best hitter. So, it's one of those things to where, it's playoff baseball, so you're not really sure exactly what it's going to be like till you get there. So you just kind of go in with a little bit of a game plan as the game evolves. You see guys swing and whatnot, and you try to figure it out from there. But, it's just you play the way you've been doing it all year. You stay within yourself and don't try to do anything too different.
Well, 6 local college baseball players have earned ABCA All-Region honors. Missouri Southern has 4 on the All-Central Region team, while Pitt State has 2. For Missouri Southern, pitcher Cole Woods is a first-team All-Region selection. Woods was 10-3 this season on the mound with a 3.71 ERA. Dixon Brannon is a first-team All-Region pick at catcher for the Gorillas. Brannon was also the MIAA Co-Player of the Year. Rounding out the first team, Nate Myskowski and Matt Miller on the infield for the Lions, and Cade Clemens, a first-teamer at shortstop for PSU. Southern shortstop Henry Kuziak earned second-team All-Region honors. Well, CNC coaches released their all-conference softball awards this week. Frontenac Raiders have a league-high 8 players on the all-conference list, and they have the league's Coach of the Year. Frontenac head coach Cassie Rooms has been named the CNC Softball Coach of the Year. Rooms led the defending state champions to an 18-4 overall record. Raiders were CO League champions with Columbus and finished as regional runner-up. We caught up with Coach Rooms to talk about being Coach of the Year and putting 8 of her players on the all-conference list.
I think a lot of people thought we failed this season because we didn't make it back to the state tournament, which would have been our 4th trip in a row. But we had a great season. The kids worked hard. They showed up every day with a great attitude. They did everything we asked them to do. And we had a lot of fun. And they won a lot of games. They're a co-champ with Columbus for the CNC League, one of the toughest leagues in the state. And, ultimately, in my opinion, I think we had a very successful season, and I think it's a great tribute to them for their achievements, for their accomplishments, for their time, their energy, their commitment, and I'm really proud of them.
Well, still to come, a discovery of 107 million-year-old bones leads to new information. Plus, we got another check of that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 5:16, but I wish it was 6:16. Means they're that much closer to wrapping things up. But it is 5:16. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. A live look, looking good so far. And we're looking pretty decent from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. And of course, so long as the traffic is moving, that's always a good sign. So there's some disagreement among the forecast models that we look at in terms of what time we're going to see the pop-up storms later today. We're still going to get some, but there's some disagreement. We'll talk about that in just a moment. First, our camera, 7th in range line. We're looking all right. Got some clear skies out there. 69 in Joplin, so much warmer. Still a bit on the muggy side. Dew point 60, humidity 73%. Across the area, it is a very warm start for us this morning. As you can see, we're at 69 Carthage, Lamar, 67 Pittsburgh, 68 in Chanute, Parsons, and 65 in Miami. As we get our morning started, we're looking to be sunny, mostly clear skies out there, and because of that, we're going to warm up a little faster today. And look at this, we're talking 11 o'clock, 82 degrees, we're talking low 80s before noon, which means, of course, it's going to be that much warmer this afternoon as we push into the mid to upper 80s. Some of us may even get close to that 90-degree mark out there. We'll start to see some clouds increasing, start transition partly cloudy. Now, this is where the differences come in, so we'll see what exactly happens. Some of the computer models say by this afternoon, say around 3, 4 o'clock, we could see some additional pop-up storms across the area. They'll be scattered like they have been, but there's others that seem to be in a little more agreement that we're more likely to see some pop-up storms later this evening, so a little bit later than what we've been seeing lately. So that's why we've gone ahead and put up the pop-up storm chances later this evening into the early overnight hours, because just based on everything that I've been looking at this morning, it looks like the most likely time frame right now. And we'll have another mild evening ahead of us as well. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s for overnight lows. This warming trend continues through at least Saturday, where we could be pushing close to 90. Pop-up storms again tomorrow, and they're going to be relatively isolated, and same with even this evening. Compared to what we've seen the last couple of days, we're expecting fewer pop-up storms. However, Saturday afternoon, we're looking at a better chance of more organized thunderstorm activity. Not looking at any severe weather at this point, but just more organized shower and thunderstorm activity, which is good because we need an organized batch of rain out there. Pop-up storms continue through at least Tuesday. Temperatures mid-80s. We hang out right around the mid-80-degree mark Wednesday, Thursday, Friday under partly cloudy skies next week. And then by the time we head into next weekend, we're a little bit cooler. 80 degrees is cooler for you. And we start to see the possibility of those pop-up storms returning to the region. So still some rain chances out there, but our best organized rain chances looking to be Saturday afternoon. Well, historic home in Santa Barbara, California is on the market for the first time. Realtors say the original owners have preserved the original architectural elements, making the residence built in 1931 a rare gem. Patricia Martellotti gives us a tour.
These are the hand-carved wood shutters from Peru.
Located in the heart of Hope Ranch, this historic home built in 1931 is considered a rarity of sorts.
We are selling this historic estate that is Spanish colonial revival design.
Realtors in Santa Barbara are excited about this home because it's never been on the market. It's never been on the market before?
Never. It's been held in the same family for almost 100 years.
Realtor Kelly Knight says perhaps the most unusual aspect of this home is that it has remained virtually unaltered.
The family did a very good job of preserving all of the original architectural elements.
This 5,000 square foot home offers 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms.
I think it's an honor to sell a property this old with the historic pedigree that it has, the beautiful finished work all over the home.
Since this home went on the market just days ago, realtors received dozens of calls from around the country.
We've had calls from Massachusetts and Northern California, Southern California.
In case you're interested in buying this home, you may want to consider the price first.
This home is on the market for $6,895,000, and it's actually a great value for a home like this.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Do you own your home or do you rent it? Those are your two options. We want to hear from you, so make sure you take time to vote through our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also vote in the KOAM News Now app and, of course, take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved an RSV vaccine for older adults. The agency approved Pfizer vaccine for the highly contagious respiratory syncytial virus Wednesday. The virus causes flu-like illness in people of all ages, but is more common in babies and young children. But it can also be dangerous for seniors. An estimated 10,000 to 13,000 adults at least 65 years old die each year as a result of the infection. The rate of teenagers giving birth has fallen to a historic low. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention analyzed birth certificates and found over 3.5 million children were born last year. Experts say the data highlights an ongoing shift in the age of those giving birth. For instance, the teen birth rates dropped to another record low in 2022, which is consistent since it has been falling for more than 3 decades. In the same year, the rates among Americans in their mid-30s and 40s having babies increased. What you eat could affect your brain. A new study showed that diets low in flavonoids, a compound found in foods like berries, dark chocolate, and red wine, has linked to age-related memory loss. Researchers studied the impact of cognitive in over 3,000 older individuals over the span of 3 years. Those with high flavanol consumption had better memory function, which are responsible for one aspect of cognitive aging, compared to those with lower intake. Have an achy back? You're not alone. More than 600 million people suffer from low back pain. According to a review of previous work in the Lancet Rheumatology Medical Journal, low back pain qualifies as a pain between the 12th rib and glutes. Factors that cause the most pain were occupation, smoking, and high body mass index. The researchers projected by 2050, more than 8 million people will suffer with the same affliction. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we are watching the possibility of some additional pop-up storms later this evening across the area. We'll have another look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 5:30, an auctioneer from Parsons looks to compete for a world title.
Got a calmer, clearer start across the 4 states. Pop-up storms still expected, and we're going to be much warmer. Take a look at that forecast coming up.
Also, we'll have why you should make sure that all drivers, including motorcycles, are safe on the road.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:29. I'm Carrie Worthen. It just turned 5:29.
It did I watched that clock right there. We have a little clock so we know what time it is because, 3 hours into the morning show, you start to lose track of time.
Yes, thank goodness there's a clock. Yes.
Yes, our good friend Tim in the back found that clock and was like, wow, look at this. This is some fancy technology here. Oh, well, he wasn't like that. We were like that.
Yeah, we're thankful for you.
We are very thankful for that. And as we start our Thursday morning, we're that much closer to Friday, and we are calmer this morning as well, but pop-up storms still in our forecast. As we look at the future track, we go into the afternoon. Now, the last few days, the pop-up storms have come in the afternoon. However, it's looking more likely that they'll be A, much more isolated than they have been the last couple of days, and B, later in the evening. So here we are at about 7 o'clock, and you see they're short-lived because pop-up storms rely on daytime heating, but they're expected later in the evening. Could see a couple into the very early overnight hours, and then we'll clear out. And as we head into our Friday, they return in the afternoon hours. Here we are at 3. Again, they're expected to be a bit more isolated across the area, but a few pop-up storms again possible for us on our Friday afternoon and evening. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line looking back to the west is looking good so far out there. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. And as we take a look at our camera at 7th and range line, starting to get some daylight, and you can see we've got clear skies sitting at 69, though quite mild and a little bit muggy with a higher dew point and higher humidity out there. Across the region, warmer than where we have been. Our overnight lows have been steadily increasing. We got 68 Chanute, Neodesha, Parsons, 65 Chetopa, Miami, 66 Neosho, 69 Carthage, and 66 in Pittsburgh. We get our morning started. We're expecting sunny skies, and because of that, we're going to be warmer as we go into the lower 80s by late morning. Start to see a few partly cloudy skies by this afternoon, but we're still much warmer. Temperatures mid-upper 80s, maybe even some near 90. We'll have another look at your full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Carrie?
Thanks, Chris. As warmer weather becomes more consistent, bikers are hitting the roads. Feeling the wind in your hair as you ride a motorcycle is nice, but it can be dangerous. Danny Taylor, who is also known as Harley Santa, was riding his bike heading to Joplin when a truck took a left turn in front of him. Tanner said he tried to lay his bike down not to collide with the truck, but it didn't stop the crash. Since the crash, Tanner is recovering with the help of his community.
Pretty much don't remember anything after that. I had a pretty bad head injury. I'm still dealing with dizzy spells and ain't been able to work since.
Since the start of May, we've seen at least 4 life-altering motorcycle accidents in the area. The Missouri Department of Conservation proposes a price hike for most fishing and hunting licenses. The proposal comes after 20 years of keeping the prices same. MDC officials say most residents' permit prices would increase about $1, but non-resident prices would climb up more. They say prices will still be affordable compared to other states and are needed to maintain programs and services.
Currently, resident hunting and fishing permits are $19, and we're proposing increasing them to $20.50. Still a relatively low cost for recreating in Missouri compared to many other states throughout the country.
Residents are able to leave comments from July 4th through August 2nd. You can find more information about the permit price proposals on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. An auctioneer from Parsons, Kansas is competing next week for the title of World Championship. KOAM's Anthony Salavoni has a story.
Justin Dotson is more than just a fast talker. He's an auctioneer with a passion for agriculture, livestock, and community. And now he's about to showcase his talents amongst some of the best auctioneers in the world.
They showcase the talents of the world, of the auctioneers across the United States, and show the industry what a great and vital part that we play in our industry. So my hats are off to livestock marketing. You know, they really do a great job.
According to the Livestock Marketing Association, Dotson will be one of 31 auctioneers to compete in this competition, where they will not only showcase their skill as auctioneers, but their knowledge of the industry as well.
It's different parts of the United States, and it's very competitive. The auctioneers, we're very competitive, but we're very good friends too. It's a great kind of family, and the camaraderie we have is incredible.
The veteran auctioneer has been a part of the auction in Parsons for close to 20 years and has not only had an influence on the community, but on young people who plan to follow in his footsteps.
And hopefully I can be an inspiration for some young auctioneers or inspiring auctioneers that want to talk to me, and I can maybe give them some words of advice or help them out anyway. I've already had many young auctioneers call me and talk to me, so hopefully I can help them a little bit.
Dodson wants to let people know that auctioneers are more than just fast talkers. They are also a vital part of the livestock community.
One thing that I'm required to do here is I want to get the most I can get for the producer that's bringing their cattle down. A lot of times that income is that might be their yearly income, depending on how many cattle they sell. Many of them have jobs outside the farm to make everything work. But every time I sell cattle, it's part of their livelihood.
Reporting in Parsons, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The Livestock Marketing Association convention will take place from June 7th through the June 10th. If you're in the market for a house, the Crowder Technology Education Center may have one for you in a small sense. The trades program with the colleges have 2 tiny houses that will go up for auction. An open house was held on Wednesday to showcase the houses. The houses are 12 feet by 24 feet and include a full kitchen, 3-quarter bath, 11 by 11 loft sleeping quarters, a washer-dryer hookup, and more.
It's a really amazing opportunity for promoting career pathways in the skilled trades and giving students those hands-on experiences to try it out.
The online auction for the cabins began yesterday and runs through June 30th at noon. Minimum bid is $25,000 per cabin. You could find a link to the online auction on KOAMnewsnow.com. Summer school is back across the country, and it's bigger than ever in McDonald County, Missouri schools. Officials with the school say enrollment numbers are at its largest ever. The school district usually sees around 1,300 students enroll, but this year they had about 1,600 sign up.
We had a few rough years when we went through COVID and things got kind of messy, and so I think what we're seeing now is that we're kind of getting back to what was pre-COVID normal routine, and so kids are excited about being in school, and we're, as teachers, we're trying to close some of those gaps that we've seen and do some things to really keep kids engaged.
Summer school features classes focused on exploration such as engineering and promoting a healthy lifestyle. This morning we are discussing renting or owning a home.
Located in the heart of Hope Ranch in California, this historic home built in 1931 is considered a rarity of sorts. Realtors are excited about this home, especially because it's never been on the market. The house has been held in the same family for nearly 100 years. Realtor Kelly Knight says perhaps the most unusual aspect of this home is that it has remained virtually unaltered.
The family did a great job at preserving all of the original aspects of the home. Knight hopes to attract a buyer who will be the next steward of this historic estate. And in case you're wondering, the price on this home, $6.8 million.
Just pocket change, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got that.
Sure,
it's fine.
of course.
No big deal.
Well, it does bring us to our question for you, though. Do you own or rent your home? So far, 80% of you say that you own your home. 20% of you say that you rent it. So do make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and of course, take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
Do you own or rent?
Rent.
Rent. So I've heard a lot of people are going back to renting because it's cheaper. Like you don't have to fix any of your problems in your house.
Usually you don't. Yeah, I mean, it depends on your landlord
Yeah,
sometimes, but yeah, it does make it a little easier, a little cheaper sometimes. But there are some cases where rent is higher than what your mortgage payment may be.
That is true as well. So you got to look at it from both sides.
It's a tough balance.
Yes. All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. A boy working at a pizza place gets a tip that he didn't expect.
Plus, on your mark, get set, go. Go. Yeah, some goats in England put their best hooves forward for a race. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. Topping World Watch this week, Iran is prosecuting 2 journalists who reported on a death of a young woman who died in police custody back in September. Her death sparked months of massive anti-government protest. Iranian intelligence agents accused the 2 women journalists of colluding with hostile powers, charges that could carry the death penalty. The first trial session for one of the journalists was held Monday in Tehran behind closed doors. The other began Tuesday. Goats in England are putting their best hooves forward. They are kicking off a 30-day race around the world to raise money for the Zoology Society of London. 9 pygmy goats from the London Zoo are taking on 2 golden Gursery goats from the Whipsnade Zoo. Together, they are hoping to walk, cycle, or swim a total of 40,000 kilometers or nearly 25,000 miles during the month of June. That's equivalent to the circumference of the globe. The world's oldest flying reptiles lived in Australia as far back as 107 million years ago. Tyrannosauruses were the first vertebrates to fly. Pathologists believe they had wingspans of around 33 feet. The bones were discovered in the 1880s, but it wasn't until recently they were confirmed to be from predators. Scientists say the massive creatures also lived in Brazil and Argentina. A carpenter from Minnesota is using his woodworking skills to help rebuild the famous Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. The devastating fire tore through the roof 4 years ago. Ian Lee has the story from London.
When flames engulfed Notre Dame in 2019, the French president vowed to resurrect the iconic cathedral within 5 years. 4 years in, architects are celebrating a huge step toward restoration, raising a portion of the new roof.
You can see through the plumb bob.
With help from Minnesota carpenter Peter Henriksen, who says it feels like a trip back in time. He's using some of the same tools and techniques of his medieval predecessors.
I think it's amazing that people in 1100 could do all this.
While it would be faster to use power tools, workers say doing it by hand pays tribute to the craftsmanship of the cathedral's original builders.
It's a little mind-bending sometimes. Think about there were medieval carpenters cutting this, basically the same joint 900 years ago.
Artisans are using some modern technology to speed up reconstruction, like these computer images, to ensure their hand-chiseled beams fit together perfectly.
The traditional carpenters had a lot of that in their head. They had sketches.
Henriksen is working alongside mostly French craftsmen and says it's an honor to help bring this historic landmark back to life. Ian Lee, CBS News.
French officials cut down more than 1,000 historic oak trees in some 200 forests across the country to rebuild the cathedral's fire-ravaged roof and iconic spire. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:46 now on this Thursday morning. So as we head into the afternoon, we're looking at the pop-up thunderstorms, and they'll be later this evening. So there's a couple of different thinkings from the different computer models we look at and that I've been looking at this morning. There's one that seems to suggest we could see pop-up storms this afternoon around the same time we have been, say around 3, 4 o'clock. But more of them seem to agree that they're actually going to happen later this evening, and as such, they're going to be considerably more isolated. So about 7 o'clock or so, and we could see a couple more into the late evening, early overnight hours, but they'll die out pretty quickly because the pop-up storms really rely on the heating of the day in order to survive. We head into our Friday, and Friday, more of these pop-up storms, but again, like today, they're expected to be fairly isolated compared to what we've seen, but they are expected a little earlier in the afternoon. So by about 3 o'clock or so, we'll start to see a few of these pop-up storms around the area, and then as we start to head into the evening and start to lose daytime heating, these storms will begin to lose their energy. And then we've got better chances at least of organized shower and thunderstorm activity as we head into Saturday afternoon. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line looking to the west. We are looking good so far, and same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400, of course, just south of Pittsburgh. And at our camera from 7th and range line, we got clear skies out there. Beautiful start to the day and a warm and muggy one. 69 in Joplin, dew point 60, humidity 73%. So it's a bit on the muggy side out there this morning, which means the bugs are really active too. Boy, I do not like them. Sometimes driving at night it's like going through a fog of bugs. And that's the only thing I don't like about the summertime. We got 66 Iola Fort Scott Yates Center, Pittsburgh, 68 Parsons, 64 Chetopa Miami, 66 Neosho, and we're sitting at 69 in Carthage this morning. As we get our morning started, we had the clear skies that we just showed you, and they're expected to remain clear through the morning hours. And because of this, we're actually going to warm up a little bit faster. So that means we're reaching low 80s by late morning for most of us across the area. So that's going to be a bit toasty compared to what we've seen as we head into the afternoon, because we're going to be a little warmer. Afternoon highs warmer too. We're talking upper 80s, some of us maybe near 90. But as the afternoon progresses, we'll start to see a few more clouds build in, start turning partly cloudy, and we'll remain partly cloudy as we head through the evening and overnight hours. And then again, we could see a few of those scattered pop-up storms later this evening. But again, this evening, they're expected to be relatively isolated compared to what we've seen. And it's another mild evening for us tonight too. We got lows mid-upper 60s across the area. As we head down the road, these thunderstorm chances are going to stick with us for a little bit longer. Again, the isolated pop-up storms tomorrow afternoon, highs again near 90 Saturday. And then we've got better chances of organized shower and thunderstorm activity. So compared to what we've seen, what we're meaning is just an actual batch of showers and thunderstorms expected to roll through the area Saturday afternoon. So not everybody will see rain with this batch, but there will be more of it. And I know we need that rain. So that's our best chance for at least some organized rainfall. And the good news is at this point through today, tomorrow, and even into Saturday, we're not anticipating any strong or severe thunderstorms. But of course, if that changes, we will let you know. We hang on to the mid 80s as we kick off the next week. We got pop-up storm chances continuing in the afternoons through at least Tuesday. We go into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We turn partly cloudy and stay right around the mid 80s. And then we drop a little bit into the lower 80s by next Saturday. And we also see those pop-up storm chances return for us as well. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Hard work does pay off. That's what a Missouri teen working at Pizza Hut restaurant found out earlier this week. Betsy Webster has the story of Raheem Wilkins, who despite physical obstacles manages to do his job with a smile on his face.
Here at the Pizza Ranch in Independence, the servers get tips, but it's not often to get a tip when you're working behind the register. When one man gave a $5 tip to a cashier last month, he got such a positive reaction that he came back today with more, much more.
Hey, welcome to Pizza Ranch. How may I help you guys today?
Raheem Lumpkins started the job a month ago. When no one is in line to pay, he's busy sweeping floors and wiping down the buffet. Usually quiet and introverted, it's taught him something new about himself.
I see new people, I get excited when I see them. I never knew I could, get excited when I see people.
Today, a man who came in a month ago.
Hey, Raheem, you remember me?
Came back to tell him how impressed he was.
I appreciate your hard work, your good smile, your good attitude. We don't get that nowadays, especially with young kids.
Robert Semay's friend began counting $50 bills. As the number grew to 2,500, Raheem wiped tears from his eyes.
This is all for you.
Raheem was stunned.
You're a good young man.
Thank you, sir.
I love you very much.
I really appreciate that.
Robert never mentioned the physical thing that's different about Raheem. Something Robert told us inspired him.
I don't describe it as a condition. God made me like this for a reason. So I'm a regular person. I don't think of it as a disability or. Oh no, it don't prevent me from nothing. Whatever I want to do, if I feel like I could do it, I could do it.
Money comes and goes. People, very rare to find somebody like Raheem.
Raheem hopes to someday be a motivational speaker for kids like him. His message?
Don't ever hide it, you know what I'm saying? Embrace what you have different from other people, because a lot of people think it's cool and a lot of people wouldn't think it's cool. I mean, all the negative hate and stuff, the negative words that get to you, don't let it get to your head, because there's a lot of positive in the world. It's more positive than negative.
And this, from a stranger, is evidence of that.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
I asked Raheem what he's going to spend it on. He said he's putting it in his savings account for his first car fund. That's why he got this job. And yes, he can drive a car on his own. He can do a lot of things that people don't realize he can.
It's very inspirational. It's amazing that he overcomes all these obstacles to do what he does. This really does go to show you hard work does pay off. We'll be right back. A rare white bison is born at a Wyoming state park. Visitors are flocking to Bear River State Park after a unique baby was born in mid-May. Park rangers are unsure if the calf is a boy or girl just yet, but reminds guests to give the mother and baby extra space. An endangered baby gibbon is born at a Oakland zoo. The unnamed baby was born over the weekend to first-time parents Mia and Rayner. Experts say gibbon couples mate for life, and these two have been together since 2019. The baby's gender and name have not been revealed. White-handed gibbons are classified as endangered species.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a pretty decent day across the area. We got those sunny skies and warmer temperatures pushing into the lower 80s by late morning, mid to upper 80s, maybe even near 90 for some. Some partly cloudy skies and pop-up storms late this evening into the very early overnight hours. They'll be brief and isolated and mild, mid to upper 60s. Better storm chances Saturday afternoon, and we will be in the mid 80s as we head through the rest of the week. Pop-up storms return for us Sunday through Tuesday across the region, so we've got that. And we've got the isolated pop-up storms tomorrow afternoon as well, but at least Saturday looking at a better chance of more organized shower and thunderstorm activity across the area. We take a break from showers and thunderstorms by midweek next week, staying in the mid-80s with partly cloudy skies. And as we head towards Saturday, we do have that chance of pop-up storms returning to our forecast once again across the area. That's a check of your forecast. We've got a whole nother hour of the KOAM morning news right after this.
Right now at 6, a motorcycle and SUV collided in Joplin on Newman and Decay Road, but the crash continued from there. We've got the details.
And we've got ourselves a clear start for our Thursday, mild and a bit on the muggy side. Pop-up storms still possible. We'll talk about when they're expected coming up.
Also, the Crowder Technology Location Center looks to counter the big cost of living by offering some tiny homes.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Carrie Worthen.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 6 o'clock now on a Thursday morning across the 4 states. One step closer to Friday, at least for some of us. We talked about this yesterday. I'm sorry,
Tuesday.
Carrie. But
Tomorrow's my Wednesday.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track sometimes when you work the weekends. I've been down that road before, so it gets a little tough. But for the rest of us, it is Thursday. It's Thursday regardless of what day of the work week it may be for you. And we've got the pop-up storm chances again for us today. So here's the thing. There's a couple of different thinkings on this. There's one computer forecast model that we look at that suggests that we could see them again this afternoon, say around 3, 4 o'clock. But the majority of them seem to agree with what you're seeing here, that we're going to see some isolated pop-up storms a little bit later than usual. We're talking later into the evening and possibly into the early overnight hours across the area before they eventually fizzle out, because the pop-up storms really rely on that daytime heating for their energy, and if they form much later today, they won't last very long. As we head into our Friday, pop-up storm chances return. They're expected to be relatively isolated as well, but they're expected in the afternoon, so at least they'll last a little bit longer, and some of us will get some additional rainfall across the area before they begin to fizzle out later in the evening. And then for our Saturday, we're looking at better rain chances across the area. 32nd and range line, MoDOT camera there looks good. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 as we're starting the day with clear skies. Here's a look. Sun slowly starting to come up out there. 66 in Joplin, a little bit muggy, dew point 59, humidity is 78. As we take a look around the region, we've got 67 in Nevada, 66 in Pittsburgh and Parsons, 65 Chitopa, Miami. We're sitting at 64 in Neosho. We get our morning started. We're expecting to be sunny through the morning, so that's going to allow us to warm up a little faster. Low 80s by late morning, so a very warm day for us. Highs today, upper 80s, maybe near 90 for some of us. And by this afternoon, we'll start to see some partly cloudy skies before we see those isolated pop-up storm chances as we head into the evening for some of us. Otherwise, remaining partly cloudy, another mild evening, lows in the mid to upper 60s. Carrie?
Thanks, Chris. MSSU's Mace Student Life Center building temporarily closes after an SUV crashes into it. The crash happened just before 11 a.m. Wednesday when a motorcycle and SUV collided at Newman Road and Duquesne Road. After the crash, the SUV then continued and crashed into the Mace Student Life Center at MSSU. Both the motorcyclist and the SUV driver were taken to the hospital. Authorities say they were both able to communicate when taken off scene. No word yet on the severity of injuries. As warmer weather becomes more consistent, bikers are hitting the roads. Feeling the wind in your hair as you ride a motorcycle is nice, but it can be dangerous. Danny Tanner, who is also known as Harley Santa, was riding his bike headed to Joplin when a truck took a left turn in front of him. Tanner said he tried to lay his bike down not to collide with the truck, but it didn't stop the crash. Since the crash, Tanner is recovering with the help of his community.
Pretty much don't remember anything after that. I had a pretty bad head injury. I'm still dealing with dizzy spells and ain't been able to work since.
Since the start of May, we've seen at least 4 life-altering motorcycle accidents in the area. Breaking overnight, the House has approved the debt agreement to suspend the nation's borrowing limit after hours of floor debate. President Biden's called it, quote, good news for the American people and the American economy. Now the clock is ticking as the Senate takes up the measure. Jared Hill has more on the vote outcome and what comes next.
The bill is passed.
With a big bipartisan vote, the House passed the bill to suspend the nation's debt limit through January 2025.
Tonight, we all made history because this is the biggest cut and savings this Congress has ever voted for.
The bill, which was the result of a deal between the White House and House Republicans, also caps some federal spending, claws back money from the IRS, tightens eligibility for food stamps programs, and loosens some environmental rules.
We had an obligation, a responsibility to avoid a catastrophic default.
In the end, more Democrats supported the bill than Republicans, angering some conservatives who opposed it.
Now Democrats have joined with McCarthy to pass bills. So there is a big reassessment of the coalition for power in the House.
A White House official tells CBS News the president watched the House vote with staff while in Colorado Springs. In a statement, he thanked House leaders and urged the Senate to also pass it.
I hope we can move the bill quickly here in the Senate and bring it to the president's desk as soon as possible.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has warned members of his chamber to prepare for potential votes over the weekend. The U.S. Treasury says the bill must get to the president's desk by Monday, June 5th to avoid default. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Some conservative Republicans who oppose the debt ceiling bill is now the House are questioning Speaker McCarthy's leadership and threatening to bring up motion to oust him. McCarthy appeared to shrug off those threats, saying, quote, it's up to them, during a new conference last night. Meanwhile, the bill is currently faces opposition from some Senate Republicans and at least one Democrat. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News Now app. Summer school is back across the country, and it's bigger than ever in McDonald County, Missouri schools. Officials with the school say enrollment numbers are its largest ever. The school district usually sees around 1,300 students enroll, but this year they have had about 1,600 sign up.
Although we have 6 different areas and 6 different mascots, we all become a Mustang in the end. So summer school is a way that we can start joining those kids together because eventually they're going to spend 4 years in high school together.
Summer school features classes focused on explorations such as engineering and promoting a healthy lifestyle. If you're in the market for a house, the Crowder Technological Education Center may have those houses for you. In a small sense, the trades program with the college has 2 tiny houses they will auction off to the highest bidder. An open house event was held on Wednesday to showcase the houses. The houses are 12 by 24 and include a full kitchen, 3-quarter bath, 11 by 11 loft sleeping quarters, a washer and dryer hookup, and a lot more.
So really, the Tech Center is here to give high school students in the area the opportunity to really try out a skilled trade. So we have programs in a lot of different areas, but specifically for the construction program, not only are they learning skills that they're going to be able to use down the road personally, but if they're interested in a career in construction.
The online auction for the cabins began yesterday and runs through Friday, June 30th at noon. Minimum bid for the cabins is $25,000 per cabin. You can find a link to the online auction on KOAMnewsnow.com. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, NASA wants to explain the unexplained.
Investigating UFOs. I'm Danya Backus with a historic public meeting to discuss the mysteries of the sky.
Plus, fatty liver disease can lead to serious liver damage, and many people may not even know they have it. We'll show you the red flags and why early detection is so important. And Chris returns with another look at your forecast and just how much rain the 4 states can expect as we look towards the weekend. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Happy Nation Watch this morning. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says it found about $38 million worth of meth inside a shipment of kale at a checkpoint on the U.S.-Mexico border in California. The agency says a man driving a tractor trailer was going through the Ode Mesa cargo facility with a shipment of kale when officers referred him for further examination. They discovered 268 packages of kale containing nearly 6,000 pounds of methamphetamine. The driver was detained and turned over to custody of Homeland Security Investigations for further investigation. 2 people were injured when a small plane went down in a Detroit neighborhood Wednesday night. It's not clear what caused the plane to go down in a small residential backyard. The pilot and the passenger suffered minor injuries after the aircraft struck a tree and then a garage.
You know, you've got power lines, you've got trees, you've got the garage. He came in right over a tree, hit the tree. The branches fell on top of the garage. He clips the garage as he goes down, and the plane is actually wedged between the gate and the garage. It is absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like it. This is my second plane crash that I've seen. This one, it's amazing that he's not hurt.
Witnesses say the single-engine plane appeared to lose power before it went down. CBS affiliate WCTV reports the Georgia State Patrol confirms a Tallahassee, Florida woman was behind the wheel of a car that went airborne in a wild crash caught on tape last week. The incident happened on May 24th on Highway 84 in Lowndes County, Georgia. Body camera video from a deputy working a crash scene shows a car drive up the back ramp of a tow truck going airborne and flipping before crashing into another vehicle on the roadway. The deputy on the scene rushed towards the crash. WCTV reports the 21-year-old driver suffered from serious injuries but survived the crash. NASA held a historic public meeting to discuss the mysteries of the sky. A newly assembled panel of independent experts is investigating unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, formerly called UFOs, and how they affect our planet. Danya Backus has more.
My gosh.
UFOs are real, but what really are they? NASA's newly formed 16-member panel is charged with figuring out how the space agency can use the tools of science to help the federal government understand what's going on in the sky and how it affects Earth.
The study of unidentified anomalous phenomena represents an exciting step forward in our quest to uncover the mysteries of the world around us.
NASA says citizens, commercial airline pilots, and the Department of Defense have reported at least 800 UAP sightings over the past 27 years.
Between 2 and 5% of those events display signatures that could be anomalous, defined as anything that is not readily understandable by the operator or the sensor, something that is doing something weird.
Experts say identifying a UAP is like finding a needle in a haystack, especially since there's a lot going on in the sky. On any given day, there are 45,000 airline flights and 184 weather balloon launches in U.S. airspace. There are also 1.6 million recreational or model planes and 880,000 registered drones.
And the environment that we fly in, space or, an atmospheric flight, very, very conducive to optical illusions.
The panel says while UAPs exist, there is no evidence they are extraterrestrial in origin.
We haven't found life beyond Earth yet, right? I mean, let's be clear about this. We haven't found it yet, but we're looking.
A final report is expected by the end of July. Danya Backus, CBS News.
NASA says its committee is committed to complete transparency and openness. Several panel members have reported being harassed online about their investigation. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris to look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a pretty calm and clear start for us on this Thursday morning. We do still have some pop-up thunderstorms in our forecast. We'll talk about that full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:18 now on this Thursday morning across the area. We still have those pop-up storm chances today, and they're looking this time to be considerably more isolated than what we've seen the last 2 or 3 days, and they're expected to be a little bit later. So there's a couple of patterns of thinking on the computer data that I've looked at this morning. One seems to suggest that we could see them this afternoon, say around 3, 4 o'clock, but the majority seem to agree they're going to be later this evening. So let's take a look at what that looks like here. We go into about 6, 7 o'clock. We start to see these scattered pop-up storms, and again, these are going to be relatively isolated compared to before, and because they rely on daytime heating, excuse me there, we see them die out a lot faster as well because they're going to form so late that there's not going to be much energy left for them to play with as we get into the evening, but a couple could last into the very early overnight hours. Then we go into our Friday. We start the day again clear, maybe a few clouds out there. We've got isolated pop-up storm chances again for us tomorrow, but these ones expected in the afternoon. So we go to 3 o'clock, got a few of them out there, and as the evening progresses, we get a few more of these scattered pop-up storms across the area. And then again, once we start to lose the heating of the day, these storms begin to fizzle out, and we go back for another clear and mild night for us. Now let's take a look. MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line, looking back to the west. You can see the sun shining out there. Got clear skies. Got clear skies on the KDOT camera at 69 and 400, just south of Pittsburgh, and we are watching the sun begin to rise this morning from our camera at 7th and range line. Look at those colors. They're always so beautiful in the morning. We got 66 in Joplin. Feels like 66, but it is a bit muggy. 59-degree dew point and 78% humidity out there. Across the area, a warmer start than what we've seen the last few days. We've got 66 Pittsburgh, Parsons, 67 in Chanute, Neodesha, Independence, 65 Chatopa, Miami. We're sitting at 64 in Neosho. We get our morning started. Our temperature's not looking too bad across the area as we go mostly clear. And then we go into the low 80s because with the sunshine out there, we're going to be considerably warmer today, because we're expecting so much more sunshine today. We'll go partly cloudy as we start to head into the afternoon, but because we're warming up so fast, we've got temperatures upper 80s, some of us maybe even near 90 degrees out there across the area. And then as we head into the evening, we got the chances for a couple of isolated thunderstorms across the region as we head late evening and again into the very early overnight hours. Will otherwise be partly cloudy through the evening and overnight, and another mild one for us as our overnight lows drop back in the mid to upper 60s across the area. And this warm weather is going to hang around for a while. In fact, we'll actually continue to warm a little bit as we go into Friday and Saturday. We've got highs pushing right near 90 degrees across the area, so it is going to be absolutely toasty. Again, isolated thunderstorm chances in the afternoon for us on Friday. Saturday, however, in the afternoon, we're looking at the possibility of some actual organized shower and thunderstorm activity. It won't roll through the entire area, but some of us will actually get some real rainfall out of this system as it rolls through on Saturday. The good news is between now and then, we're still not anticipating any strong or severe thunderstorms out there. And of course, if that changes, we will let you know. We head into Sunday through Tuesday. Pop-up storm chances return as we remain with those otherwise partly cloudy skies. And these again be afternoon type storms. Temperatures hanging out right around the mid 80s. We go toward the middle of next week and we start to clear out a bit, staying partly cloudy and still warm. Temperatures again right around the mid 80s. And then we go cooler for us as we head into Saturday, approaching near 80, and then we have those pop-up thunderstorm chances return across the area as well. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Morning, about 1 in 6 unvaccinated people are still experiencing COVID-19 symptoms up to 2 years after initial infection. Swiss researchers looked at more than 1,000 unvaccinated adults. More than half felt back to normal within a month, but those with long-lasting symptoms experienced, among other things, altered taste and smell, fatigue, and mental health issues. Having full-time support dogs at children's hospitals can offer benefits for both patients and staff. A new report looked at the use of these special dogs at a large public children's hospital in Japan. It found the dogs are most helpful for young people with terminal illness and help patients become more cooperative in necessary care. And cutting carbs at breakfast could be key to helping to control sugar levels with those with type 2 diabetes. An international team of scientists found switching from a breakfast that includes carbs like oatmeal, toast, and fruit to a protein-heavy meal like eggs with bacon or cheese can help people with type 2 diabetes better manage their blood sugar for most of the day. The study also found there was no significant weight loss difference between the high carb and low carb breakfast groups. It estimated that a quarter of all adults in the U.S. have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, an illness where excess fat builds up in the liver. Many people don't even know they have the disease, but it can lead to serious liver damage. Mandy Gather has more on who's most at risk and why early detection is crucial.
It can affect anyone of any age, including children. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is common but silent. Many don't know they have it. The more severe form of the disease can cause major health problems.
These patients are at increased risk of developing cancer. They're also increased risk of progressing to cirrhosis and even require a liver transplant to be able to treat this.
Dr. Blanca Liziola Mayo with Mayo Clinic says this disease is more common in those who are obese, and people who have metabolic syndrome are at increased risk. That means the patient has 3 or more medical problems linked to obesity, like high blood pressure, high blood sugar levels, or high triglycerides.
I think the most important thing to remember about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or NAFLD is that it's reversible.
Which is why early detection is key. Mayo says those with 2 or more risk factors should be screened. The condition tends to run in families, and Hispanic Americans are disproportionately affected. She says the disease is also showing up in a growing number of children. Treatment includes being healthier.
I see it as a team approach where all the family needs to really work on this in lifestyle modifications and making sure that we follow a healthy diet and remain as active as possible.
Mayo says patients often ask about supplements to cleanse the liver. She says only the liver can clean itself, so she doesn't recommend any. However, she says there are some research which shows benefits to the liver for those who moderately drink black caffeinated coffee. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
A quick check of our forecast for today. As we get our morning started, we're looking at sunny skies, and because it's going to be so sunny, we're going to warm up a little faster. We're talking the low 80s as we head into the late morning hours. As we head into the afternoon, we've got much warmer temperatures, pushing upper 80s. Some of us maybe even getting close to that 90-degree mark. We'll have a few more clouds by this afternoon. We'll go partly cloudy, and we'll remain partly cloudy through the evening and overnight, and we could see an isolated storm or two late this evening into the early overnight hours, but most of us are going to remain dry, and we'll drop back to another mild evening with our lows in the mid to upper 60s. We're back with another half hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6:30, the fight over abortion rights in the Sooner State continues as the Oklahoma Supreme Court rules 2 laws to be unconstitutional.
We've got sunny skies and a mild start for us on our Thursday. We still have some possible pop-up storms. We'll talk about when they are expected to be here coming up.
Also, KOAM's Yana Hatala sits down with the Missouri Department of Conservation to find out why the department is raising prices on hunting and fishing licenses after 20 years.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Carrie Worthen.
I'm Chris Warner. So no rain showers across the area this morning. Yesterday we had those thunderstorms in southeast Kansas, but we are calmer and quieter as we get our Thursday underway. We still have some pop-up storm chances out there, but there's some interesting takes on these pop-up storms today. One of the main things, though, is they're expected to be considerably more isolated than what we've seen the last couple of days. So let's take a look at the future track real quick as to what we're talking about. So I've been mentioning this through the morning. There's some different computer models, of course, that we look at for forecasting data. One of them seems to suggest that we'll still get afternoon pop-up storms, say around 3, 4 o'clock. But the majority of them seem to agree with what you're about to see here, that by later this evening, that's when we'll actually see these pop-up storms. And that's why they're expected to be considerably more isolated, because the pop-up storms feed off the heating of the day. And so therefore, we're not going to have that much left by 7. And there may be a couple into the very early overnight hours, but these are going to fizzle out pretty quickly. quickly. Now tomorrow we have another chance for those scattered pop-up storms around the area. These expected though in the afternoon. By 3 we start to see a few, and as the evening progresses we'll see a few more of these scattered across the area. And again, as the evening moves on and we lose that daytime heating, these storms will fizzle out as well. So we'll see exactly what happens, but it looks like today they're going to be later in the evening. We got MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line, looking to the west. You can see the sunlight out there, looking good. Sunshine beginning to reflect off the traffic signal at 69 and 400 from the KDOT camera there. Our camera, 7th in range line, showing that beautiful sunrise this morning. We are at 66 in Joplin. It is a bit on the muggy side out there. Temperatures around the region look about like this: 67 Nevada, 65 Pittsburgh, Chetopa, Miami, and 64 in Neosho. Real quick look at our morning. We're looking to be sunny, so we're going to warm up quicker. We're talking low 80s by late morning, and that allows us to be warmer today. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon. Temperatures upper 80s, maybe even near 90. Carrie?
Thanks, Chris. The Oklahoma Supreme Court rules 2 laws further limiting abortions in the state are unconstitutional. One of those laws prohibits abortions after a heartbeat is detected, and the other bans abortions in most cases. The court found those laws conflict with previous decisions, one of which found a pregnant woman has an inherent heartbeat to end a pregnancy when her life is in danger. Governor Kevin Stitt says he, quote, wholeheartedly disagrees with Oklahoma Supreme Court's use of activism to create a right to an abortion in Oklahoma, end quote. The Missouri Department of Conservation proposes a price hike for most fishing and hunting licenses. KOAM's Hannah Yana Hatala talked with MDC officials and some Joplin area anglers to get their thoughts.
The Missouri Department of Conservation is proposing an increase further hunting and fishing permit prices to maintain programs and services.
Most Missouri Department of Conservation permit prices have remained the same for the past 20 years, while the cost for goods and services have increased significantly since then. So to address ongoing rising costs of goods and services compounded at high inflation rates.
According to Missouri Department of Conservation, about $1 changes for residence permits are still far away from prices elsewhere. The costs in surrounding states for resident fishing and hunting permits are approximately double.
Currently, resident hunting and fishing permits are $19, and we're proposing increasing them to $20.50. Still a relatively low cost for recreating in Missouri.
Non-resident permits are seeing bigger increases. Residents fishing in Joplin are not too worried about possible price increases. Daniel Arwood is one of MDC's 2.6 million permit holders for fishing, hunting, and trapping.
It's not a big deal. It actually goes to something worthwhile. So, I mean, it's helping the environment with all the rivers and everything like that, so I don't mind it.
Arwood mentions it's necessary to keep the environment clean from trash.
Got to keep doing what they're doing, I guess. So, I mean, everything's getting more expensive, so, I mean, I can see why.
If proposed prices are approved, changes would come into an effect on February of 2024.
We would like to get input from the public during a public comment period, and residents who would like to submit their comments about increasing our permit prices can do so on our website.
In Joplin, Yana Haudala, KOAM News.
Residents are able to leave comments from July 4th through August 2nd. You could find more information about the permit price proposals on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A Parson, Kansas auctioneer is making a name for himself. Justin Dotson is headed down to Florida next week to compete in the World Livestock Auctioneer Championship. He and other auctioneers are getting together to not only compete, but to also engage, learn, and bring attention to agricultural and livestock from the local level all the way up to national level.
It's going to be quite a competition. There's a lot of great auctioneers there from Canada, across the United States, from California, Pennsylvania, just everywhere. You know, super guys and very competitive. But like I said earlier, it's a close-knit group of guys.
Justin Dotson will be competing against some of the best auctioneers in the world. Dotson has been the runner-up before. This year, he'll try to get his first title as world champion. This morning we are discussing renting or owning a home.
Located in the heart of Hope Ranch in California, this historic home built in 1931 is considered a rarity of sorts. Realtors are excited about this home, especially because it's never been on the market. The house has been held in the same family for almost 100 years. Realtor Kelly Knight says perhaps the most unusual aspects of this home is that it's remained virtually unaltered.
The family did a great job at preserving all of the original aspects of the home. Knight hopes to attract a buyer who will be the next steward of this historic estate. And in case you're wondering, the price on this home, $6.8 million.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Do you own or rent your home? So far, 77% of you say you own your home and 23% of you say that you rent it. So do make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and of course take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, putting a stop to ineffective braking.
Your car could be getting a technology upgrade. I'm Astrid Martinez with a look at a new government proposal to improve a common safety system.
Plus, we've got a nice start to us for this Thursday. We also have some pop-up storm chances this evening. We'll talk about that in the forecast when we come back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, Amazon will pay out millions in settlements with the Federal Trade Commission over privacy concerns related to its Ring camera and Alexa products. The company settled the Ring-related suit for $5.8 million. In a court filing, the FTC says employees were given unfiltered access to personal videos and failed to protect customer safety. Regulators say one employee spied on female customers for months using cameras placed in bedrooms and bathrooms. Amazon settled a second lawsuit that alleges it violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act by illegally storing minors' information through the Alexa voice assistant. The payout is for $25 million. And speaking of Alexa voice assistant, Amazon says it's discontinuing celebrity voice add-ons and its Alexa devices. They include actors Melissa McCarthy and Samuel L. Jackson and of NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. They also include features like Jackson swearing and McCarthy telling jokes. The celebrity voices had cost about $5 each, but the website now shows they are no longer available for purchase. It says current users can hear McCarthy or Shaq until September, with Jackson's voice going away sooner. Amazon tells Variety customers can request refunds for previous purchases. No reason was given for the discontinuation. And if you plan to fly Air New Zealand, be prepared to step on a scale. Over the next few weeks, the airline is weighing international passengers so it can determine an average passenger weight. The Air New Zealand says the data began recording anonymously and kept private. It will only be used to help improve fuel efficiency. Most automakers have voluntarily installed automatic emergency braking, which can stop or slow down a car when the driver doesn't react fast enough. But the government now wants it required in all vehicles and is proposing major improvements to the technology. Astrid Martinez reports.
AAA tested vehicles traveling 30 miles per hour toward a stationary object and found automatic emergency braking, or AEB, was effective at preventing a crash. But that changed when the car's speed increased, and the tech also struggled in other real-world scenarios. The government wants to see that change.
We're proposing to require that these systems be much more effective at much higher speeds.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is proposing new standards that would require AEB to prevent a crash at up to 50 miles per hour.
That means that a vehicle has to stop without touching another vehicle in front of it. The test is very tough to meet.
The government also wants to see the technology improve to help prevent more crashes involving pedestrians.
Previous testing has shown AEB can be effective in the daylight, but struggles avoiding an accident when it's dark out.
Most of the systems are completely ineffective at night.
AAA's Greg Brannon says automakers wouldn't need to make dramatic design changes to reach the new proposed standards.
The major automakers have put the resources behind developing these systems. So what we're talking about is software and philosophical changes to the systems.
But the upgrades would still cost car companies millions. The industry group Alliance for Automotive Innovation tells CBS News it is reviewing the proposal and anticipates submitting comments. The government will consider those comments before finalizing the new rules. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, quick look at our current conditions outside. We've got that beautiful sunrise from our camera at 7th and Rangeline. We're sitting at 66 in Joplin. A bit muggy, dew point 59, humidity 78%. Quick look at temperatures around the area. Not bad. A nice mild start. 67 Lamar, Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, Chanute, and Neodesha. 65 Chatopa, Miami, 64 Neosho. We're sitting at 62 this morning in Monette. As we get our morning started, we're expecting sunny skies to continue. Therefore, we're going to warm up a little faster. We're looking to get into the low 80s by late morning, and that allows for a much warmer day today. We're talking upper 80s, some of us maybe even near 90. Looking at partly cloudy skies by this afternoon, and then by this evening, we've got a mild evening ahead of us. We've got temperatures back in the mid to upper 60s, and then a few of us could see an isolated pop-up storm or two late evening and into the early overnight hours. Well, we've done it. We've made it past the hump. We're that much closer to Friday, and that's an excellent reason to celebrate some birthdays and anniversaries. They're coming up next, but first, why don't we go ahead and take a look at what's happening later this morning on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, how more American companies and brands are taking stands on political and social issues and risking losing potential customers. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
All right, it is time for some Thursday birthdays in the 4 states, and we're going to begin with Calvin Tubaugh celebrating birthday number 1. A very happy birthday to you, Calvin.
And sorry. And next we have Maggie McCready from Chanute, Kansas. Happy birthday. Look at her little cheeks.
It's very, very adorable there. We've also got Landry Blackledge turning 7 in Joplin. A very happy birthday to you.
And then next we have Abel Jackson turning 8 from Pittsburgh, Kansas. His pirate hat.
And we've got Adeline Bruner celebrating number 10 in Lockwood. Happy birthday, Adeline.
Next we have Sydney Moore turning the big 16 from Crestline. Lots of love from all of her family.
And over in Carthage, we've got Kylie Buck celebrating birthday number 17. Happy birthday, Kylie.
And another big one turning 18, Jeremiah Martinez from Chanute. Happy birthday, Jeremiah.
And over in Frontenac, we've got Dawson Mirando celebrating birthday number 23. Happy birthday, Dawson.
Next we have Jeff Volts turning 36, formerly from Galesburg, Kansas, now in Manhattan, Kansas, with love from your family.
And Kevin Combs over in Columbus celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Kevin.
Next we have Sandra Saea. I probably mispronounced that. I apologize. Sandra Saea turning 58 from Columbus, Kansas. Happy birthday from your entire family.
And we've got Tony Daniels over in Cherryvale celebrating number 58 as well. Happy birthday to you, Tony.
Next we have anniversary, John and Kenna Hudo from Crestline celebrating the 38th anniversary.
All right, and our list continues with Heather Schuberger celebrating a birthday in Columbus today. Happy birthday, Heather.
Next we have Travis DeGonia turning 42 from Crestline. There's a lot of Crestlines today.
All of our neighbors down to the south are celebrating.
Yeah.
We should just celebrate with them. Why not?
Yeah.
Make a big birthday party in Crestline. We also have Mike and Julie Rebel celebrating their 32nd wedding anniversary in Iola. Happy anniversary to the Rebels.
And then the last birthday, but not the least, Mindy Profit turning 39 from Pittsburgh, Kansas.
All right, we want to wish a very happy birthday and anniversary to all of those on our list. We want to continue to celebrate with you, Carrie. If they want to continue to celebrate with us, what do they need to do?
They need to submit their birthdays to birthdays with S at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website, take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It's a really cool thing. You get special deals from local businesses. You also get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So make sure you take time to sign up for that birthday club today. All right, let's talk about storms. We've got the possibility of maybe an isolated storm or two this afternoon. However, most of the data so far seems to agree with what I'm about to show you. As we head later into the evening, that's when we could see a couple of isolated thunderstorms pop up around the area. But since these pop-up storms rely on daytime heating and they're expected to develop so late, they're going to fizzle out really quickly. There might be one or two in the very early overnight hours, but for the most part, they'll last maybe 3 hours at most, and then they will begin to die out, and they'll be very isolated as well. Not like what we've seen the last few days with a handful of them out there. But as we go into tomorrow afternoon, we've got another chance of those pop-up storms, but because these are expected at the normal time, if you will, in the afternoon, say around 3, 4 o'clock, heading into the evening, they'll have a little more energy to work with, and we could see a few more of the scattered pop-up storms until we get into the late evening hours and we lose that daytime heating, and those storms go ahead and just die on out. MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line, clear skies, plentiful sunshine as it looks back to the west. Great start to our day. Got the sun rising here as well on the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh, and our camera at 7th and range line showing that sun. There it comes above the tree line, and you can see not a cloud in the sky around it. 66 in Joplin, a bit muggy with a dew point at 59, humidity 78%. Temperatures around the region, a nice, decent start for us. 67 Neodesha, Yates Center, Chanute, Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, 66 in Parsons, 65s in Chetopa, Miami, 64 in Neosho, 66 in Carthage. And as we get our morning started, it's going to be a great one. Sunny skies across the area. However, we're going to warm up faster thanks to that plentiful sunshine. Look at this. We're talking low 80s by 11 o'clock this morning. That also means a warmer afternoon for us. We'll have a full look at that forecast here in just a couple more minutes. And coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, we're taking a look at a couple of sweet crime sprees. A man in Canada breaks into a bakery to steal some cupcakes, and he cleans up the mess he made. And a bear in New England also manages to get her paws on some cupcakes before making her own break. I suspect she probably didn't clean up her mess. We've got those sweet stories and so much more when the KOAM Morning News makes a switch over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. MSSU's Mays Student Life Center building temporarily closes after an SUV crashes into it. The crash happened just before 11 a.m. Wednesday when a motorcycle and SUV collided at Newman and Duquesne Road. After the crash, the SUV then continued and crashed into Mays Student Life Center at MSSU. Both motorcyclist and SUV driver were taken to the hospital. The Missouri Department of Conservation proposes a price hike for most fishing and hunting licenses. The proposal comes after 20 years of keeping the same prices. MDC officials say most residents' permit prices would increase in about $1, but non-resident prices would cost more. They say prices would still be affordable compared to other states and are needed to maintain programs and services. A Parsons, Kansas auctioneer is making a name for himself. Justin Dotson is headed down to Florida next week to compete in the World Livestock Auctioneer Championship. He and other auctioneers are getting together to not only compete, but to also engage, learn, and bring attention to the agricultural and livestock from the local level all the way up to national level. And summer school is back across the country, and it's bigger than ever in McDonald County, Missouri schools. Officials with the school say enrollment numbers are at the largest ever. The school district usually sees around 1,300 students enrolled, but this year they had about 1,600 sign up. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you get your day started, we're looking at partly cloudy skies by this afternoon. Highs much warmer. We're talking upper 80s, maybe even near 90 for some of us. A mild evening as well, low to or mid to upper 60s rather. Partly cloudy skies. A couple of us could see an isolated storm or two, but otherwise we're going to remain dry and partly cloudy. Pop-up storms tomorrow afternoon. Better rain chances Saturday afternoon and near 90. Pop-up storm chances continue through through Tuesday, temperatures remaining in the mid-80s. So that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We hope you had a great morning with us, and we had so much fun doing this that we're going to come back and do it again right here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you here today at noon.